Alrighty.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and all of you potential Toastmasters out there in Facebook land. Thank you for joining us. If you are joining us in real time, we welcome your questions. Just post them on our Facebook page. I am your Program Quality Director and co-host of the show today. My name is Ken Richardson, and with me is my lovely co-host, Distinguished Toastmaster, past District Director, Phyllis Tribby. And Phyllis, would you like to introduce our guest?
Well, first, let's say good morning to everyone and welcome to our show. Yes, of course, I want to introduce our guest. She is a fellow Toastmasters in Holistic Toastmasters. Her name is Carolyn Vanzlow. Welcome, Carolyn, to our show.
Well, thank you, Phyllis. It's a pleasure to be on the show with both you and Ken. You guys are extremely, I would say, well educated and really know the program, and it's an honor to be with you. Thank you for the invitation.
Well,
So
we're very glad to have you.
A Toastmaster.
How
long have you been a Toastmaster, and what's the story behind your joining Toastmasters?
Well, I'd have to go back and look at my calendar, but I'm thinking I've probably been coming to Holistic Toastmasters now well over 6 months. Mm-hmm. My reasoning was originally something I wanted to do for probably the past 25 years. And I kept getting this one message on Messenger from Rachel West, who's our current president. And I just hung on to it. And then I told her, I'm coming. And then one day I came. The reason, when I walked into Toastmasters, I thought it was because I wanted to learn how to speak. What I found out was completely different. I realized that I don't think quickly on my feet. I'm very analytical, and I would get pressured, and then what would happen is everything would turn black and I'd shut down. Now, this could be something as much as maybe somebody being very confrontational with me, not nice and confrontational, or in school, it was horrible in school, and I'm always in school, and I'm always in fear of being called on. Since I've been in the group, I have learned that I can slow down. I don't have to deliver a lot of information, and I can buy time while I'm answering things and come across as an intelligent, well-educated individual. But the skills that I'm learning in Toastmaster go beyond the actual speaking. I am learning leadership skills. I am learning skills for keeping the momentum going. What I mean is there's various things to do in Toastmasters that keeps that momentum going in every meeting. I'm learning to do different positions in Toastmasters. All of those are excellent because they throw me right out of my comfort zone. And of course, I have to learn a new skill, which I tend to shut down, and everything turns black if I think I'm going to make a mistake. I don't feel that way anymore. I'm open to making the mistake because in Toastmasters, you are not berated or put down for not being perfect. You are encouraged to look at what you're doing and how can you make it better, but you're encouraged for all the things that you do right, as well as the things that need to change to make you better. I thought I knew how to speak. That's a joke and a half. I used to just wing it, no preparation. Well, what happens with that is you're not effective. You're not reading your audience. You're reading yourself and talking about what you want to talk about. And maybe there's nobody in that audience that even thinks like I do. So it teaches me to look at my audience, read my audience, and create an environment where I can keep their interest, even if it's something they're not interested in. It's really helped me at work. I now look at clients a little differently. I don't have to run in and tell them how great what I do is, and it's going to change their lives forever. I listen better. That's another thing Toastmasters really teaches you about listening. That's probably, I would put the listening skill right up there with the speaking skill for someone like me. So it's brought a whole new Carolyn into Carolyn. And it's kind of exciting because I wake up every day and I get to meet another version of myself that I never met. And I believe with all my heart that it's because I was willing to walk through those doors of Toastmasters and put my insecurities out on the table and just kind of look at them, but to go forward. And it's a wonderful group of people in the holistic group. They're very inspiring people to be around, and they're low key about it. They don't throw anything in your face. They're not cocky. They don't, hey, I can speak and you got a long way to go. They're exactly the opposite. And I've always said the best in town is probably the most humble also. And that's what I see in that group.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. I would say that that is very true of all Toastmasters. They are all wanting to be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I was helped, and so I try and help others. But even after 25 years, do I make mistakes? Well, of course I make mistakes. I forget things. And so how can you talk down to anyone else that makes a mistake when you still make them yourself? I think, have got rid of the word you know. They haven't called me on it in a couple of years, but I went for many years and could not break myself of you know, because many of my friends in Indiana say it. So I think that's one of the things about going to a meeting. People think that, oh, it's all about speaking. Well, no, it's not. It's about listening, finding out what are the little things that you do or say, like you know, and getting those out of your repertoire so that when you do give a speech, it's the best you can do. And support all the time. It is about support. We are there to help one another. And speaking is not the most important thing. Impromptu. You must love table topics.
I do.
It is the scariest one, I think, for most people, but it certainly is the most fun. And I love table topics.
Mm-hmm.
Ken is great at table topics. You must get him to be your table topics master sometime. He gives questions that are very, very interesting. But if you work at it, you could always give a humorous answer. And that's where having fun in our club comes from. Ken?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm so happy that you talked to Carolyn about the listening aspect of Toastmasters, because it is so important, and so often it's not something we talk about. We focus on communications and leadership, but a major part of both communications and leadership is learning how to listen. Because I often, I've been a Toastmaster for 15, 16 years now. And I always feel like I learn something every time I go to a meeting, because there's so much to learn and the practice is so important. And particularly those listening skills. We all are, not all of us, but for the most part, we know how to hear, but we don't know how to listen. And the two are very, very different. And when you are in the role of an evaluator or an awe counter or Marian, or a general evaluator, a major part of what you need to do is to listen so that you can provide a report that is thorough and accurate. And that helps you in so many ways. And that speaks to some of the, I think of them as sort of the hidden benefits of Toastmasters, and listening is one, building confidence is one, being able to speak impromptu fashion in a group is something that is also a challenge, or just talking with people that you don't know, that you've never met before, and being able to go up and say, hey, how are you? My name's Ken. It's glad to meet you. Those are things that we don't often think about. And sometimes they're more subtle. As you work the program and as you attend meetings, you kind of wake up one day and say, oh, all of a sudden I feel much more confident in this particular environment or that particular environment. And I'm always happy to go forward. And a lot of that fear that you might have had of making a mistake or getting something wrong, that goes away, because you realize that mistakes are made by humans, and I are one. And it's simply a matter of recognizing, say, oh, wait a minute, I misspoke there. Because a lot of us are afraid to admit when we make a mistake that we'll somehow be looked down upon. But I'm fascinated. We were talking before the show started a little bit about your career, Carolyn. I wonder if you would mind sharing a little bit of that, because you're in an allied health or medical field, but it's non-traditional, and that fascinates me. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, if it's okay, I'd like to give you some background.
Okay.
I grew up in my father's medical practice. He would have been about 109, 110 right now. I'm 73. And he used to take me out on house calls on the weekend. Well, he had nothing better to do but tell me how to diagnose patients. And then when he wasn't teaching me that, he would tell me, you have to learn to hand a doctor the tools before they even ask for it. So I already made 2 mistakes. I'm not making any more. With your wife being in the medical profession, she probably is well aware that handing them things before they ask is like a big plus, and it gets them dependent on you, and it makes your life a lot easier. One thing he taught me: always get 2 opinions. And the next thing he taught me was, don't go to surgery until you've talked to 2 or 3 surgeons. So that was stuck in my head, and it was very well ingrained in me. As a youngster, I saw it going on in the practice. When I hit the wall with chronic pain, now my chronic pain did not come from accidents other than the time that I did something to my neck when I was 7. But they were what we call non-impact injuries, and they occur from making the same movement patterns constantly. I herniated a disc as an X-ray tech, lifting something way too heavy for me, things like that. But that was the only time. When I realized on that Sunday afternoon that the party was over, I was going to have to get help. But I got on my hands and knees and I asked God, please send someone that won't want to cut, because I knew what was going on with me. And please do it in 2 days. And that's exactly what happened. And I ended up in the office of a chiropractor who happened to know an awful lot about structural integrity from the position of movement. So that began the journey. I started pursuing corrective exercise through the Czech Institute, which again looks at correcting the posture. However, I realized over time that I needed even more, and that's how I got into postural therapy, which has probably been the most difficult thing I've ever taken on in my whole life, and I will never know everything, and so it'll always hold my interest. What I learned from that is really important, but not everybody wants to do it. We are our own best therapists. Our program is based on your body, not a piece of paper with a bunch of exercises on it. And we're the only ones that look at why do you hurt? What's the root cause? A good example is you've got low back pain. maybe the real cause is in your pelvis, because your pelvis is out of balance and it's creating more work for the low back and putting pressure on discs, which is going to hurt. That's what we look for, things like that. And I don't care if you have, I've seen people with trigger finger, all kinds of things, and you can track it back to one of those 8 loading joints, which is the shoulder, hip, knees, and ankles. It's a fascinating journey, but the coolest thing about it is that you can see people getting well. Now, not everybody is wired that way. Some people don't want to do the work, and this may hurt, but they're stuck in the story. They don't want to give up the story. There's a lot of attention involved with being ill. That's not a good fit for this work unless they finally decide, hey, I don't want to be like this anymore. The people that seek out what I do want control. They don't want to be going to a gazillion appointments every week, massage, chiropractic, PT, all of that. They want to gain back a good, healthy body, and they're willing to put in whatever work is necessary. So that's basically how I got there. My dad always used to say when I was little that I enjoyed fixing broken things. And there is probably some truth. He never lived to see this. But I know in my heart of hearts, if he was alive and I was doing this, he would make everybody in his neighborhood go to me and have an assessment, except when I gave him his program, he'd sit and argue with me the whole time and probably never do it. But that was our relationship. We really loved each other a lot, but he loved to argue with me.
I think that's terrific. That
yeah, it's a great, it's great. It's a great opportunity for people because it gives you back the control. We have been taught that we don't know our bodies, and that some stranger that you're going to talk to for 10 minutes knows more about you than you. I don't think so. You know more about Ken's body than even if you came to me once a week for the next 20 years, you would still know more than me.
Well, I'm fascinated that your relationship with your father sort of formed the foundation of where you are today. And it's it's just amazing to go from sort of the traditional perspective of medicine where you started, and then to go on this self-exploration, if you will, to where you've gotten to today. I think that's a journey that many of us have never really taken. We've not analyzed or examined a lot of our preconceived notions that are perhaps handed down to us, and you have certainly challenged that and beyond, and I think that's fascinating. And the fact that you have joined Toastmasters to help you on that journey, I think is even more impressive. I have some friends that I've talked to many times about, you'd really benefit from Toastmasters. And the attitude is sometimes, no, that's not going to help me. I already know it. And I keep thinking back when I started in Toastmasters, I kind of thought I knew how to give a speech. But it turns out, as I look back and I realize, boy, I really wasn't that good. My ego was much larger than my ability.
Well, today, Carolyn has taken on something else, something new. It's one of our favorites, Ken. She's going to be a contestant.
Awesome. Oh, that's great. Which contest are you going to be participating in, Carolyn?
There's one coming up in April, and I'll be, Guy Dawson and I will be representing our Holistic Toastmasters group. And, I wanted to add something. I thought of this and I didn't write it down, so that means I'll forget. I think something that's very important to entrepreneurs that are out there, especially people that are trying to build a new business, they don't know how to present. And when they talk about what they do, I'm actually practically sitting there with a checklist. And it's like, they lost me because I'm so busy hearing now that they're not getting that message across. And I would say that every single person out there, especially an entrepreneur, you need to go to Toastmasters and learn how to present. I'm giving my very first presentation to a group of women this Thursday.
Oh.
And I did it about a month or so ago at Toastmasters. I used them as the, I guess what you could say is I used them to evaluate me to see where to clean it up. But I also am thinking different than I was a month ago. I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. I'm talking to a bunch of women who are entrepreneurs who sit all day. They're probably all thinking they weigh a lot, and they probably wear high heels. So they gotta have low back issues. You might want to change it just a little bit to structure it towards that audience. I would have never thought that before. Even when I go to these, what I call highfalutin organizations, and somebody presents and they say, you know, they're this individual with all these different things, and they're going to help you become better. And I listen to them speak, and I think, you're not going to be helping me, because I can see through what you're doing wrong. I wonder how many people you're losing in this room based on how you speak. Just a thought. Now, I never used to think like that. I would sit there and listen to all of that in awe. No, I don't think like that anymore. I want to get out there, and I feel like Toastmasters is giving me the tools to get out there and be the best.
Yeah, I think that's terrific, because you do learn how to analyze your audience and construct a speech in such a way that it's going to capture their attention, deliver the message, and then keep their attention throughout the presentation. And I think that's so important to learn. And I agree with you completely, Carolyn, because, you know, I've given lectures that I thought, it was all about me.
Yeah.
You know, this is the information I need to deliver, and I'm going to sort of stuff it down your throat.
Yeah, and that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And instead of thinking about, and you know what else I love about it? Because I run my mouth a little too much. I know you probably figured that out before we even turned this on.
Not at all.
I like working inside that time frame. So I have mine down to about 6.5 minutes, which means that gives you time for questions. I'm not going to lose their attention. I'm only going to put a couple of points out there, but I'm going to, the iron fist with the velvet glove routine, I'm going to get them to think. And even if I get no response from it, I know down the road a piece I will, because I've had people carry around a brochure for 8 years and show up in my facility.
Wow.
Just never know who's listening and why they're not pursuing it at that moment. And see, Toastmasters, there's so much more to Toastmasters than I would have ever even imagined.
I was going to ask you, you mentioned practicing in front of Holistic. Have you tried any of the tools on the Toastmaster website, like Yodely?
Well, you know what I do? I sit here at this desk or at work. I turn that camera on and I go over it and over it. I don't do it on purpose, but it always turns out to be 14 videos. I'll videotape it, then I'll step back and I'll look at it. I'll look at any notes I might have had. I will change something. And it's interesting because when they evaluated me for the speech that I'm going to give actually almost next month, tomorrow's March 1st.
Yeah.
I had the way what do they call it when you go from one topic to the next? I forgot the name they called it.
Transition.
The transition.
I was transitioning. It's on my last video. I took it out when I spoke to the group, and I thought, you idiot. So I was transitioning. But what I find is if you can look at yourself on video and really see what you're doing and saying or not saying. So it's a huge tool. That's the tool that's working for me. And I love it because, like I said, I don't set out to do 14 different videos. It just ends up about 14.
I think that's fantastic.
Everything.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say that is just a terrific way to prepare yourself and to learn about what works best for you. You know, what is it that you need to make sure that you deliver the right message that you want to deliver in the style that you want to deliver it. And having videos, you know, when I've competed in the past, my sort of methodology has been to just, you know, stand in front of a mirror and give it over and over again, or go to different clubs and try to get input that way as well. But being able to have those recordings that you can look back and say, oh, yeah, I needed to do this and that and the other, I think that's very, very helpful. And I have no doubt you're going to do well in the upcoming contest.
I told you, Guy and I are going to win. So you can tell all your little friends that are competing, don't even bother to show up, because they're not going to win. Me and Guy are going to take those, whatever they give us. We're taking it when we leave.
We have had a challenge getting the trophies from Toastmasters International. They are on order, but in the interim, we've been encouraging the area directors and division directors to give a certificate and a promise. We are having issues with the supply store getting those trophies, but the check is in the mail, so to speak.
Right.
And I think you're in Division D, right? Is this Division D coming up?
Yes, Division D. D2.
Excellent. D2, and that's on, I think, April the 8th.
Yes.
8th. Very good, and that's going to be at the Centennial Hills Library.
Yeah.
And we do have this Saturday, March the 4th, I almost said May 4th, March the 4th, is going to be Division C, and that's going to be quite a contest. It's at Palo Verde High School if you want to attend in person, but it's also going to be available online. And if you need the link to, if you prefer to attend online, there is a link in the newsletter that'll be going out either today or tomorrow. So you can watch for that, or just contact me and let me know, and I'll get you set up. Then I'm really excited. The next one, I think it's areas B2 and B4 are combined, and that's up in St. George, Utah. So that's going to be on Saturday, March, I'd have to look. I want to say the 18th. Is there Saturday, March 18th?
Well, let's see, it would go the 11th and then the 18th. So that's,
yes, okay.
Correct.
Yes, I'm looking at my calendar. That's it. It's at St. George at the Chamber of Commerce. And that's going to start at 10 o'clock Pacific time, which is 11 o'clock their time, because they're on Mountain Time. So if you need information on that, my email is on the screen. And then after that, the next contest is April 1st. Areas B1 and B3 are together. Then Division D on the 8th, and on the 15th will be division level. A and B is on the 15th. I always got to get this right. And then C and D is on the 22nd. So most of those dates and venues are in the newsletter, or they will be if you need information about that. We are about out of time here. Carolyn, is there any last minute wrap up you'd like to present for our audience?
Don't wait 25 years to join.
I've heard that before, and I think that's a very, very true message. I want to thank you for coming on the show today and joining us. Phyllis, do you have any announcements or anything you want to share with our audience before we sign off?
Remember, we read all of your comments. So if you're watching us at any time, please comment. If you have questions, we will answer.
And we did get some comments already this morning from Jennifer Smith. She really likes the great testimony, Carolyn. So congratulations on that. And thank you, Jennifer, for joining us. If you view the recording later on the Club Growth Director's Facebook page and you need more information, you can either post there and I'll check it, or you can send me an email at krichardsonlvnb@gmail.com.
What is your main Facebook channel? Because I'm watching you on my phone for Wake Up with Toastmasters. But what is your normal handle for people to go on there and ask questions or post?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is on the Facebook page. The Facebook page is TMD115 CGD. That's the Facebook page that we use for this particular show and for responding.
May I repeat that to make sure I got it right? T is in Tom, M is in Mary, D is in David, 115. C is in care, G is in good, D is in David.
You got it. Yeah,
Okay.
That's Club Growth Director Facebook page. So
okay,
you can go there and
thank you, Phyllis, for inviting me.
Well, thank you for coming. And just to let our audience know, all of these videos are stored on that page. So you can go back if there's a topic that we've hit on that you want to review, it's available.
Can I share it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll put it on my page.
Okay, very good. Yeah, please feel free. Yeah, it's shareable. So if anybody has any questions, please let us know. Phyllis and I will be back on Thursday. Tomorrow, I believe, will be Jennifer Smith, our Division D Director. She and Doris Tuckett will be the co-hosts tomorrow. And we'll be back on Thursday. So we will see you then. Our guest will be Guy Dawson. Guy Dawson, past District Director. He's working with the Toastmasters Chamber of Commerce and the Toastmasters Toastmasters Club. So we'll be interested in hearing about that. So have a great day, everyone, and we will see you back here on Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Everybody have a wonderful